The Chiefs are one of the most successful teams over the last several years, and part of that is obviously thanks to future Hall of Famers like head coach Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, and Chris Jones. But many people overlook a very underrated aspect of the Chiefs' success, and that is their ability to stay healthy throughout the season. Well, in this video, I'll break down proof of the Chiefs' ability to pull this off year after year, as well as look at a familiar face returning to the practice squad, Sneed in Kansas City having extension talks, a preview of the Chiefs and Eagles game, and much freaking more. But first, how about those? Alright, first up, Chiefs Bids is back with another partnered giveaway of this fire full-size Super Bowl 57 helmet signed by Travis Kelce himself, but more on that in a bit because we got to talk about a defensive tackle that is now back in the fold. Last month, on October 19th, the Chiefs waived their 6th round draft pick and defensive tackle Keondre Coburn with the hopes that he'd clear waivers and they'd be able to get him back on the practice squad. Well, that definitely did not happen because the Broncos were the only team to put in a waiver claim on him, and therefore, he all of a sudden became a Denver Bronco, where he remained a healthy and active on the roster the entire time and basically was grabbed so the Chiefs couldn't get him back on the practice squad before they had to play each other. Well, lo and behold, earlier this week, Denver then waived him and he cleared waivers, this time with no team claiming him on November 15th. And the next day, November 16th, Aaron Wilson reported that Keondre Coburn is signing back with the Chiefs to their practice squad. So there you go, Coburn is back. And some are saying, who cares? He's mid, and that's why the Chiefs waived him to begin with. Well, not every draft pick is an instant success or an immediate hit, but I think they waived him to have him back on the practice squad and slow cook / develop him. And who knows what he could become in the future. Either way, I do like the guy, wish him the best, and glad he is back. Next up, in some cornerback news, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reported that L'Jarius Sneed and the Chiefs have had some preliminary contract talks for a long-term extension. Fowler reported that KC, quote, would like to keep him. Then, according to this article on Arrowhead Addict, Fowler also noted that any further discussions will have to wait until season's end. So yeah, it's no real surprise that the Chiefs have kicked the tires with Sneed on him being here long term. He's an incredible player, a gifted athlete, and a key piece of the defense and how Spags utilizes him. One knock on Sneed recently, though, is the fact he's been flagged like 7 times in recent games, but defensive backs coach Dave Merritt said they've been working on this with Sneed, having him lean more on his abilities and instincts when mid-route with the receiver and less on being grabby. In spite of the penalties on Sneed, he's been a fantastic football player, blanketing most opponents' wide receiver ones with much success. Then if you look at this graph that shows cornerbacks over the last 5 years and how they've prevented separation compared to how often they are targeted, you'll find Sneed in the upper right quadrant with a couple of dogs like PS2 from the Broncos, Rasul Douglas, and others. Anyway, I'm not surprised at all that the Chiefs have started the conversation with Sneed about keeping him in KC for years to come. But the real question is, will they actually do it? If my research is correct, over the last 15 or so years, the Chiefs have only extended Brandon Flowers, who was drafted in 2008, and then of course, Eric Berry, who was drafted in 2010. But since Veach took over as GM in 2017, they have yet to offer a second contract to a defensive back that they've drafted, though part of me wonders if that trend will come to an end with L'Jarius Sneed. Well, since we still have half a season to go here, only time will truly tell. And from here, we got to talk about Joe Burrow being out for the season, among others, and look at an underrated aspect of the Chiefs' success as they've been able to remain one of the healthiest teams in the NFL. But first, Chiefs Bids is back with yet another partnered giveaway of this full-size Super Bowl 57 helmet signed by the GOAT, Travis Kelce. More on how to win this in just a moment after you know that Chiefs Bids is accessible through the official Chiefs app in the bid section, and that's where you're going to find all kinds of signed Chiefs memorabilia that's updated regularly to be auctioned off, featuring current players like Isaiah Pacheco and Charles Omenihu, former players like Derek Johnson, Bobby Bell, and even Trent Green, as well as these unique items like this signed Creed Humphrey pylon or even a signed Lynn Dawson photo that you can bid on. So make sure to check out the app, which is exactly where you're going to want to go anyway for your chance to win this signed Super Bowl 57 Travis Kelce helmet. Just go into the bids portion of the Chiefs app, then at the top right, hit the filter option and select giveaways, and the helmet's going to immediately pop up for you. And if you don't want to use the app, even though that is the easiest and most preferred way, you can click the link at the top top of my description to go to their website and enter that way as well. And either way you choose, make sure to fill out your profile, including a shipping address and card info, because the winner will have to pay for shipping, which is still an absolute steal for this signed Super Bowl 57 helmet from Travis freaking Kelce. All right, let's get into some offensive talk here, because Andy Reid shared there's a few little things offensively they need to work on coming off the bye week, mentioning that penalties were one of them, and also recently touched on receivers needing to finish catches and eliminate drops, because the Chiefs lead the league in dropped passes. And regarding the wide receiver room in particular and how they can improve the second half of the season, his answer was interesting.
They're getting better as we go. I know it's hard to see, but they're getting better, and we'll just see how it goes forward. I mean, anything I say isn't going to mean anything unless, they continue to improve, but we're seeing improvement. We just got to keep it going.
So they're getting better, though we can't see it, but what he says doesn't mean anything until they show it. Got it. Mahomes had a similar statement about things getting better, but his answer made a bit more sense.
I've always felt like throughout the season, the chemistry gets better and better. Obviously, everybody wants the receivers to blow up and everything like that, but I think guys have gotten better as the season's gone on, and we're making strides in the right direction, and I think we'll keep doing that as the season goes and hopefully carry that momentum into the playoffs.
Offensive coordinator Matt Nagy then said the biggest thing the offense needs to work on is penalties, as Andy already stated, as well as turnovers. They've looked back at the film, and those were the two biggest issues that stood out by far this season. Mahomes also doesn't seem overly concerned about the offense, saying, upon watching the film, there's no major issues going on, just little things that need cleaned up.
I think what I've realized just now is it's never as big as it seems. There's always little things as far as fundamentals, as far as games and stuff like that. And so it doesn't surprise me now, but instead of trying to make these big, huge changes, you just go back to the fundamentals and try to execute even better.
And while we are on the subject of the offense, wide receiver coach Connor Embry was asked if they are looking for a few key guys in the wide receiver room to step up in the second half of the season, or if they are okay with the receiver rotation they've been doing with like 6 or 7 guys. And this answer is certainly an interesting one.
No, I think we're okay with it. I mean, we got good players. It's not like we're trying to force 8 receivers out there that can't play. So the reason we got them is because they can play. And then that's on us to figure out, and the receivers on them to be pros, and when your number's called, go make a play.
I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of that answer, Connor. Why not establish the main 3 or 4 guys and give them the most on-field work with Mahomes to expedite the rapport between Patrick and whoever those guys are? That's what I thought they'd be doing at least, but his answers seem to indicate otherwise. I mean, the main 2 are obvious, and it's not close, with those being Travis Kelce, then Rashee Rice. Outside of that, it's a bit wide open, and hopefully a couple more will step up and make the most of the opportunities given to them in turn to earn even more opportunities from there. And with that being said, let's talk about the Chiefs and Eagles matchup on Monday Night Football, the highly anticipated Super Bowl rematch that will this time be on great grass at Arrowhead, so no freaking excuses. So you have the number 1 seed in the NFC against the number 1 seed in the AFC, and the Eagles offense is currently putting up an average of 28 points per game, is solid at running the ball, and is first on third downs for the obvious reason of their pretty much unstoppable quarterback sneak, tush push, brotherly shove, whatever you want to call it. In fact, basically nobody knows how to stop this around the league, let alone Chris Jones or defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo.
Listen, we'll try to be as stout in there as we can. I don't have any secrets on it. I wish I did.
I don't know, man. We just gonna have to. I don't know, honestly. Have to figure something out.
I'll get back to you on that.
So yeah, their main goal is to try and force Philly into more 3rd and longs, because the Eagles are so good on converting on 3rd and 4th and short. On top of that, they want to limit their run game, which has been a weakness of the Chiefs defense so far. I think they've given up like 4.6 or so yards per carry. Then take Hurts down in the passing game, though their O-line is playing really well this year. One weak spot they could attempt to exploit is their left tackle, but we shall see there. Coach Spags had nothing but praise for Jalen Hurts, saying he can beat you with his legs, his arm, and his brain, which is pretty dynamic. For the secondary, they got to focus on A.J. Brown and others because the explosive plays got the best of them at times in the Super Bowl. And Spags didn't say this, but Sneed will most likely be on A.J. Brown, who has the 2nd most receiving yards in the league, only behind Tyreek Hill. But they also need to worry about Devontae Smith, who is averaging 12.7 yards per catch and has 4 touchdowns on the season. Thankfully, the Chiefs defense is playing incredible this year, with the 3rd most sacks in the league at 31, are allowing just 288.2 yards per game and 15.9 points, which I think is now first in the league. They are also the only team in the NFL to allow no more than 24 points in a game this season, and this will definitely be a key battle here for me. Eagles offense against the Chiefs defense. Can the defense limit the Eagles' high-powered offense? Well, I truly believe they can, and they will most likely have to if they want to win this game, because the Chiefs offense is currently averaging just 23.1 points per game, which is 13th in the league, and they are also 13th in the NFL in the red zone, scoring a touchdown just 54.55% of the time when down there. However, the Eagles defense is one of the worst in the league in the red zone, allowing a touchdown 64.29% of the time, which is 26th in the NFL. On top of that, they allow the 4th most passing yards in the league and have allowed a 130 rate and 5 touchdowns to tight ends this year. So enter Travis Kelce and Noah Gray, please and thank you. Anyway, the Chiefs offense definitely has to take advantage of that in the passing game, which has been hit or miss for them so far this season. One thing that the Eagles are incredible at is defending against the run, allowing just 66.3 rushing yards per game, which is insane. And that doesn't bode well for the Chiefs, who are in the bottom half of most rushing categories anyway, though I will still scream to feed Isaiah Pacheco from every single freaking rooftop in Kansas City, because he really does well when getting at least 15 carries in a game. Then the Eagles defense has like 30 sacks on the year, so the hope is the Chiefs O-line will hold strong and Mahomes will remain a magician at avoiding sacks. He's only been sacked 12 times this season compared to Jalen Hurts being sacked 22. Looking at special teams, the Eagles also have a solid return game with Britton Covey, I think is how you say his name, averaging 14 yards per punt return, one of the best in the league, so they got to keep their eyes on that man. And for KC, special teams coordinator Dave Toub is going to continue rolling with McCole Hardman as the returner.
Yeah, McCole, we have faith in McCole. McCole's fine. Keep improving on his decision-making, and we'll be fine.
And while Toub said McCole made the right decision a couple games ago to try and return the punt around the 5-yard line, the punt that McCole muffed against Denver, Toub did say that the punt McCole tried to return from the 2-yard line against Miami would have probably been a touchback, and McCole should have let that one bounce. So hopefully they continue to hone in on that, because other than that, special teams for KC has been phenomenal, with Harrison Butker playing out of his mind this season. And as far as a score prediction goes, I'm rolling with the Chiefs winning by a score of 3, 21-24, which is obviously dependent on the defense stopping the Eagles offense and keeping them under their average of 28 points per game. That also involves the Chiefs offense moving the ball well and not turning it over, because the Eagles will make them pay if so. But what are your score predictions for this game? Do you have it lower scoring and close like I do, or something else? Make sure to let me know either way in the comments down below. And from here, I want to touch on an underrated key to the Chiefs' success year in and year out that goes a bit beyond the normal on-field play from players and coaches, and that is their ability to stay healthy, because injuries seem to be piling up around the league. I mean, looking at just quarterbacks out for the season is depressing. You have Aaron Rodgers, Anthony Richardson, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson, and most recently Joe Burrow. In last night's game against the Ravens, Burrow tore a ligament in his hand, and he is out for the year, possibly even needing surgery, which is a very tough loss for the now 5-5 Bengals. Then on the other side of the ball, tight end Mark Andrews fractured his fibula in that game and is likely out for the season as well. And with those injuries, as well as others piling up all around the league, I've seen some, not a ton, but definitely multiple very weird comments that the Chiefs now once again have an easy path to make another deep postseason run because of all these injuries. Well, I don't know if you know this, but it's not the Chiefs' fault that other teams keep losing key players. However, KC does deserve credit for their ability to keep their team/players pretty healthy overall year in and year out. And that means credit goes to the Chiefs trainers and medical staff, who got a bad rep last offseason when the NFLPA released report cards that was voted on by like 1,300 anonymous players, and the Chiefs training staff got a D-, which is 32nd in the league. And the players' key concerns were with head trainer Rick Burkholder. Well, for that report being so quote-unquote bad, the Chiefs training staff sure has done a great job keeping players healthy, which, to be fair, also means credit needs to be given to the Chiefs strength coaches who received an A- grade in that report. Anyway, here's what I'm getting at. In the 2021 season, the Chiefs were the least injured team in the league, or at least a bottom 3 team in injuries, depending on where you look. Then in 2022, it looks like they were once again around the bottom 3 to 5 teams in injuries, once again, depending on where you look. If you check out this graph from Man Games Lost, it showed that the Chiefs players had the least amount of games missed due to injury, right up there with the Eagles. And this season, the Chiefs are definitely in the lower half of the league with 6 players placed on IR, with the Jets, Giants, Panthers, and Texans having the most at 13. And according to covers.com, the Chiefs are currently in the middle of the pack with 15 injuries sustained this season, though I'm not sure how they're tracking that data. But if you look at ESPN's data, the Chiefs currently have the least amount of players on their injury report with 6, tied only with the Chicago Bears, and this includes players that are on IR, ruled out, or questionable to play, which even includes, on the Chiefs report at least, Justin Ross, because he's ruled out due to being on the commissioner's exempt list, and he's not even injured. So it's really only 5 for the Chiefs. Then if you look at the Chiefs injury report for this Monday night game against Philly, there's a bunch of people on there, but every single one, aside from CEH, who, once again, is sick, was a full participant, and pretty much all these guys, again, aside from maybe Clyde, will more than likely play. So fans on other teams can say what they want about the Chiefs' path to the postseason being easy, or whatever they want to say, due to other teams getting injured. But again, it's not the Chiefs' fault that they themselves do a fantastic job of keeping their players in good health overall throughout the season, and year in and year out have longer seasons than most at that due to their deep playoff runs. And with all that being said, what do you guys think about this? Do you agree with me here that this is definitely an underrated key to the Chiefs' success, or is it merely luck that they've remained one of the least injured teams in the league over the last several years? Let me know either way in the comments down below, and remember, as you get out of here, don't forget to head over to the Chiefs app to enter for your chance to win that fire Travis Kelce helmet, and until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?